Hello everyone, let's kick things off with something utterly charming and slightly ridiculous. Did you know France is home to what might be the world's smallest house? No, I'm not joking. Tucked away in the beautiful city of Bastia, on the island of Corsica, is a building so tiny you could easily walk past it without a second glance. It's squeezed between two much larger, more sensible buildings, looking like it's been put in the naughty corner. It's barely wider than its own front door. Can you imagine trying to get a sofa in there? It would be a nightmare. This little sliver of a house, known as La Maison du Garde, was originally built as a guardhouse. It measures a mere 1.2 meters wide and about 5 meters deep. Inside, it's just a single room stacked on top of another, connected by a ladder. It's the sort of place you'd buy for your dolls, not to actually live in. But it just goes to show you, in France, even the smallest spaces have a story to tell. It's a testament to making the most of what you've got, even if what you've got is basically a glorified hallway with a roof. Now, from the teeny tiny to the toweringly tall. We all know the Eiffel Tower, don't we? The big Iron Lady of Paris. But here's something that will make you look at it a bit differently next time you're there. The Eiffel Tower can actually grow. Yes, you heard me right. It gets taller in the summer. It's not magic, darling. It's science. A little thing called thermal expansion. On a hot summer's day, the sun beats down on all that iron and the metal actually expands, pushing the whole structure upwards. It can grow by as much as 15 centimeters, or about 6 inches. It's like it's stretching in the sun, getting ready for its close-up. Then when the cold weather returns, it shrinks back down to its normal size. It's a living, breathing monument in a way, constantly shifting with the seasons. So, if you visit in August and think it looks a bit taller than you remember from your winter trip, you're not going mad. It's just Paris's most famous landmark doing a bit of seasonal yoga. If you thought France was all about cities and sunshine, think again. Beneath the surface lies a whole other world, a bit spooky, a bit mysterious and utterly breathtaking. France is home to the Gouffre de Padirac, one of the world's most spectacular and longest accessible cave systems. This isn't just a little hole in the ground, it's a colossal chasm that plunges 75 meters straight down. It's like a secret entrance to the center of the earth, a bit like something out of a Jules Verne novel. Once you descend into this massive cavern, the real adventure begins. You board a small boat and float down a subterranean river, gliding through immense galleries decorated with the most incredible stalactites and stalagmites. These formations have been growing for thousands of years, creating a scene that is both eerie and beautiful. The main cavern, the Grand Dome, is so vast it could comfortably fit the Notre Dame Cathedral inside. It's a hidden underground wonderland that proves some of France's greatest treasures are buried deep beneath its beautiful countryside. The French have always had a flair for the dramatic and the spectacular, and they were pioneers in taking to the skies. Long before we had jumbo jets or budget airlines, the French invented the hot air balloon. The story goes back to 1783 with two brothers, Joseph Michel and Jacques-Étienne Montgolfier. They were paper manufacturers, of all things, and they noticed that ash from a fire would float upwards. A light bulb went off, or perhaps a candle flickered, and they thought, what if we could capture that hot air in a big paper bag? Their first public demonstration was a roaring success. They filled a massive balloon made of sackcloth and paper with hot air and watched it soar into the sky over Annonay. The first passengers, however, weren't people. Oh no, they were far more sensible than that. They sent up a sheep, a duck, and a rooster to test the effects of altitude. I can only imagine what those animals were thinking. A few months later in Paris, the first manned flight took place, and humanity's love affair with flying began, all thanks to two curious French paper makers. Now, this is a fact that I think everyone, everywhere will appreciate. The French are not just pioneers of flight, they are pioneers of work-life balance. In 2017, they introduced a law that is, frankly, genius. It's called the right to disconnect. This law gives employees the legal right to ignore work-related emails and messages outside of their official working hours. Can you believe it? No more late-night pings from your boss asking for that one quick thing. It's literally illegal for them to expect a response. This was brought in to combat the always-on work culture that modern technology has created, which can lead to burnout and stress. The French government basically said, enough is enough. When you're off the clock, you are genuinely off. It applies to companies with more than 50 employees. And while it doesn't ban sending emails, it protects the employee's right not to reply. It's a wonderfully French solution, prioritizing life, leisure, and well-being over endless work. The rest of the world should be taking notes. We usually think of French as just the language of France, right? But it's actually used way, way beyond Europe. Get this, French is an official language in a whopping 29 countries all over the world. It's like a language empire that never sleeps. From Canada in North America to Senegal in Africa, from Switzerland in Europe to Vanuatu way out in Oceania, the French language has made itself at home across 5 different continents. That's a pretty amazing story of history, culture, and adventure. This huge global reach means French is one of the most common and important languages on Earth. It's the language used for important talks, like by groups such as the United Nations, the European Union, and even the Olympics. So learning a little French isn't just for a trip to Paris. It opens up a whole world of different cultures, all linked by this lovely romantic language. It really shows how France has left its mark on the world, right in the very words people use every single day. Right, let's talk about one of France's most glorious contributions to humanity: cheese. Saying the French like cheese is like saying I enjoy a little chat. It's a massive understatement. France produces over 400 distinct types of cheese. Though some proud French cheesemakers will tell you the number is closer to 1,000 if you count all the local varieties. There's a famous quote from Charles de Gaulle who once asked, "How can you govern a country which has 246 varieties of cheese?" Imagine his struggle today. From the creamy, pungent camembert to the sharp, blue-veined Roquefort and the hard, nutty Comte, there is a French cheese for every palate and every occasion. It's not just food, it's a fundamental part of French culture and identity. Each region has its own specialty, its own traditions, and its own fierce pride in its local fromage. A meal in France is simply not complete without the cheese course, a moment to savor and appreciate this incredible culinary art form. It's a delicious, edible map of the country. When it comes to art, France doesn't do things by halves. The Louvre in Paris is not just a famous museum, it is the largest art museum in the entire world. It's so vast, so overwhelmingly huge, that if you were to spend just 30 seconds looking at every single piece of art on display, it would take you around 100 consecutive days to see everything. And that's without stopping for a coffee or a trip to the loo. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Originally a fortress built in the 12th century, the Louvre has been a public museum since the French Revolution. Its collection spans from ancient civilizations to the mid-19th century and contains some of the most famous artworks in history. Of course, there's the Mona Lisa, with her enigmatic smile, the majestic Venus de Milo, and the triumphant winged victory of Samothrace. But beyond these superstars, there are over 38,000 objects on display, housed in a palace that is a work of art in itself. It is a treasure chest of human creativity on an epic scale. Here's a brilliant bit of trivia for your next pub quiz. Which country in the world has the most time zones? You might think Russia or the United States because they're so huge, but you'd be wrong. The answer, believe it or not, is France. Despite its mainland being relatively compact and sitting neatly in one time zone, France officially spans an incredible 12 different time zones. How on earth is that possible, you ask? The secret lies in France's overseas territories, the scattered remnants of its former colonial empire. These territories are spread all across the globe, from French Polynesia in the Pacific to Guadeloupe in the Caribbean and Réunion in the Indian Ocean. Because these islands are legally part of France, their time zones count towards the national total. So while it's lunchtime in Paris, people in French Guiana are just waking up for their morning coffee, and in New Caledonia, they're getting ready for bed. It's a fantastic illustration of France's enduring global presence. Let's be honest, there is a certain je ne sais quoi about French women. For decades, they have held a global reputation for their effortless beauty, chic style, and understated elegance. It's a look that seems so natural, so unforced, as if they just rolled out of bed looking fabulous. Think of icons like Brigitte Bardot, Catherine Deneuve, or Marion Cotillard. They embody a kind of confidence and sophistication that the rest of the world has been trying to bottle and sell for years. The secret seems to be in the philosophy of less is more. It's not about piling on the makeup or chasing every fleeting trend. It's about investing in quality basics. A classic trench coat, a perfectly fitting pair of jeans, a simple silk scarf. It's about looking after your skin, embracing your natural features, and carrying yourself with an air of self-assurance. It's a style that is timeless, personal, and endlessly fascinating. It's not just about what they wear, it's about how they live. We love the movies, don't we? The glamour, the drama, the escapism. Well, we have the French to thank for all of it. The entire art form of cinema was born in France. In 1895, two brothers, Auguste and Louis Lumière, held the first ever public film screening in the basement of a Parisian cafe. They showed a series of short films, each less than a minute long, depicting everyday scenes like workers leaving their factory and a train arriving at a station. Legend has it that when the film of the train pulling into the station was shown, the audience screamed and ducked for cover, thinking a real train was about to burst through the screen. Can you imagine? It must have been like magic to them. From that humble beginning, the French have remained at the forefront of filmmaking, giving us the French New Wave with directors like Godard and Truffaut, and continuing to produce some of the most artistic and influential films in the world. They didn't just invent cinema, they made it an art form. In France, bread isn't just something you eat. It's a really important part of their culture. French people love bread, especially their famous baguette. But it's much more than just that. People think there are over 1,200 different kinds of bread made all over the country, and each one looks, feels, and tastes different. From the simple round country bread to the flaky buttery croissant, the bakery is like a special place for amazing bread creations. The baguette especially is so important to French culture that there's even a law to protect it. A rule from 1993, called the Bread Decree, says that a real French baguette can only be made with 4 things: wheat flour, water, salt, and yeast. No extra stuff, no added chemicals. That's why a real French baguette is crunchy and tasty on the first day, and could be used to hit someone on the second day. It's a daily habit for millions of French people to quickly go to their local bakery for a fresh loaf. A tradition that brings people in neighborhoods closer. If you want to see opulence on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend, you must go to the Palace of Versailles. This place isn't just big, it's a universe of gold leaf, crystal chandeliers, and jaw-dropping grandeur. To give you some perspective, the entire estate of Versailles, including its magnificent gardens, is larger than New York's Central Park. In fact, it's bigger than the island of Manhattan. It's a city in itself, built purely for the glory of one king, Louis XIV, the Sun King. Walking through the famous Hall of Mirrors is an experience that will stay with you forever. It's a dazzling corridor where treaties have been signed and history has been made, with 357 mirrors reflecting the light from the gardens outside. The gardens themselves are a masterpiece of landscape design, with perfectly manicured lawns, grand canals, and fantastical fountains. Versailles is more than a palace. It's the ultimate fairy tale fantasy brought to life, a symbol of absolute power and artistic ambition that continues to astound visitors from all over the world. Ah, wine, the nectar of the gods. And when it comes to wine, France is the undisputed king. For centuries, France has been the world's leading producer of wine, both in terms of quantity and, many would argue, quality. The names of its wine regions are legendary and roll off the tongue like poetry. Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, the Loire Valley, the Rhône. Each region has its own unique climate and soil, what the French call terroir, which gives its wines a distinct character. From the deep, complex reds of Bordeaux to the crisp, elegant whites of Sancerre and the bubbly, celebratory magic of Champagne, French wine offers a dizzying array of choices. Wine is deeply embedded in the nation's culture, economy, and social life. It's a source of immense national pride and a craft that has been perfected over generations. A trip through France is a journey through its vineyards, a chance to taste the history and passion that goes into every single bottle. Santé. When you think of glamour, sunshine, and eye-watering wealth, you think of the French Riviera. Also known as the Côte d'Azur. This stunning stretch of Mediterranean coastline is a magnet for the rich, the famous, and anyone who wants to feel like a movie star for a day. With its azure blue waters, glamorous beach clubs, and super yachts the size of apartment blocks, it's a world of pure, unadulterated luxury. It's where dreams are made, and credit cards are maxed out. From the high-stakes casinos of Monte Carlo and Monaco to the celebrity-packed beaches of Saint-Tropez and the world-famous Cannes Film Festival, the Riviera is a non-stop parade of glitz. It's a place to see and be seen, where you might find yourself sipping a rose next to an A-list actor or a Russian oligarch. But even beyond the sparkle, the sheer natural beauty of the coastline, with its charming seaside towns and dramatic cliffs, is what makes it a truly enchanting destination. It's a sun-drenched fantasy land. Every country has its national day, but France's is one of the most famous and symbolic in the world. Bastille Day. Celebrated on the 14th of July, it's not just a day off work with a bit of a parade. It commemorates a pivotal moment in the French Revolution, the storming of the Bastille prison in 1789. This act was seen as a direct attack on the authority of the king and became a powerful symbol of the people's fight for freedom and the birth of the French Republic. Today, le 14 juillet is a massive celebration across the whole country. In Paris, there's a huge military parade down the Champs-Élysées, showcasing France's military might, which is quite a spectacle. The day is filled with parties, picnics, and concerts, and it culminates in spectacular fireworks displays, with the one at the Eiffel Tower being the most iconic. It's a day of immense national pride, celebrating the revolutionary ideals of liberté, égalité, fraternité, liberty, equality, fraternity, that continue to shape the heart of the nation. We've talked about the cheese and the bread, but French food as a whole is so special, so important as art, that UNESCO has officially recognized it. In 2010, the French way of eating a meal was added to a special list called the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity. This isn't just about the food itself, but everything that goes with it. Picking the right ingredients, matching food with wine, making it look pretty, and sharing a meal with others. This award shows that French cooking is a living tradition and a form of art. It celebrates the joy of living that is so important to French culture. From fancy restaurants with Michelin stars to simple local diners, cooking in France is about good quality, enjoyment, and being together. It's about taking the time to make and enjoy a meal, turning eating into a party. It proves what we've all thought for a long time. French food is a treasure for the whole world. Paris has a famous nickname, La Ville Lumière, or the City of Lights. Now, you might think this is because of the sparkling Eiffel Tower or the romantic glow of its streetlights at night. And while that's a lovely image, the nickname actually has a much older and more intellectual origin. Paris earned this title back in the 18th century, during the Age of Enlightenment, a period of incredible intellectual and philosophical ferment. Paris was the epicenter of this movement, a literal and metaphorical beacon of new ideas, education, and human progress. It was the home of great thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau, whose ideas would light up the world and inspire revolutions. Later in the 19th century, Paris also became one of the first cities in Europe to install widespread gas street lighting, making its streets safer and more beautiful at night, and giving the nickname a second, more literal meaning. It's a city that has always been a source of light, both for the mind and for the eyes. We've touched on the style of French women, but let's talk about the industry that underpins it all. Paris is, without a doubt, one of the great fashion capitals of the world, alongside Milan, London, and New York. But French fashion has its own unique identity built on a foundation of haute couture, high dressmaking. This is the art of creating exquisite, custom-fitted clothing, made by hand from the finest materials. It's fashion as a pure art form, not just a commodity. This legacy was established by legendary designers like Coco Chanel, who revolutionized women's fashion with her comfortable, elegant designs, and Christian Dior, who brought glamour back after the war with his new look. Today, Paris Fashion Week is the pinnacle of the industry calendar, where global brands showcase their most creative and daring collections. The French approach is often about timelessness over trends, quality over quantity, and an innate understanding that the most important thing is not the dress, but the woman wearing it. If there's one thing that really shows what the French are all about, it's how incredibly proud they are of their language and culture. This isn't just a small feeling. It's a super strong passion that changes everything, from politics to what they do every day. The French language is really protected by the Académie Française, a group started in 1635. Their job is to keep the language pure and stop foreign words, especially English ones, from coming in. They are very serious about it. You can see this cultural pride everywhere. It's in how they keep old buildings safe, how the government gives lots of money for art, and how they always want to celebrate their own movies, music and books. The French see their culture not just as something old to look at, but as something alive that needs to be taken care of and protected. This passion is why French culture has stayed so special and important around the world. It's a strong belief that their way of life, their language and their art are treasures worth fighting for. And there we have it. 20 amazing facts that show France is way more than just wine, cheese and a famous tower. We've traveled from the smallest house in the world to the huge Palace of Versailles, found out the secrets of a growing monument, and learned that it's totally okay to ignore your boss. What a country! From making movies and hot air balloons first, to having all their food called a world treasure, the French have really made a big splash in the world in the most exciting ways. It's a country of artists, inventors, people who change things, and folks who just really love their bread. What makes France so special is this awesome mix of history, new ideas, and a strong, proud feeling about who they are. It's a country that loves its past while always making the future, all while remembering to take time to enjoy a good meal and a glass of wine. I hope this little trip has shown you some of the amazing things, funny quirks, and pure brilliance of this cool country. It's a place that always surprises and charms you. Thank you very much for watching and for coming with me on this fast tour. I hope you feel like packing your bags, or at least going out to find a really good croissant. There is always more to find, more to taste, and more to check out in this incredible country. Until next time, goodbye. And of course, long live France.